Today I want to talk somewhat about these in-ear monitors by this company, Xvive, but before that, I want to talk more generally about the company themselves. And I have more questions than I have answers. And my biggest question is, what the hell is going on with this company? And so I'll explain in a second why I'm saying that. If you are just here for the review, skip ahead. I'll link down below, where to scrub ahead to. That is totally fine. But for the rest of you sticking around, maybe you've got answers for me. Maybe you also have questions. But I want to talk about my experience so far with this company and my somewhat strange interactions and why I have these in the first place. So my first experience with this company and the stuff that they make has actually been through bandmates of mine. I have a guitar player and bass player friend that have both used the Xvive wireless in-ear adapters, and it seems like they've really liked them, that they were affordable, they're simple, and work well. So I've kind of had the name of this company in my mind, and then at some point, they reached out to me through Instagram. Now, I don't get approached by companies often, which makes sense. I have very little clout on YouTube, and you can imagine that I have even less clout on Instagram. So I thought it was kind of surprising. And what was more surprising and potentially also a red flag was that it wasn't from Xvive's official Instagram channel. It was from someone just named Phoebe. And they send me a message that seemed, I guess, legitimate enough, saying basically that they are a representative from Xvive, explaining what the company is, and then asking if I wanted to test out or try any of their products. So I was kind of interested in trying out some of their stuff. So we go back and forth about what I might want to try, and I was actually interested in this transmitter-receiver combo for making a microphone wireless. But when we started talking back and forth about how I would get these and then what I would have to provide, that's when things started to get a little bit weird. Basically, this person, Phoebe, was asking me to buy these on Amazon and then they would refund me on PayPal, which seemed like a weird way to go about it. It seemed like maybe they're just trying to pump up their Amazon numbers. Also strange because Amazon presumably takes a huge cut out of whatever they sell, so they're kind of losing margin there. So just kind of a strange way of going about it. I pushed back on that, but they assured me, hey, if there's any funny business here, then you can just return them on Amazon. So I think about it, it feels sketchy, but I'm also thinking, well, I can just return these to Amazon if anything is weird here, if they're asking me for like fake reviews or whatever it ends up being. So I order them off Amazon and they do actually reimburse me on PayPal. And basically what I give them is just a really short video on like how to use these. Nothing that was ever posted on this channel. And so it seemed like that was that. But meanwhile, while that process is all happening, like 2 or 3 other people, ostensibly from Xvive, are contacting me on Instagram, basically saying the same thing, like, hey, are you interested in trying our product? So again, from the get-go, it seems sketchy to me that this many people are this interested in giving me free stuff. Again, very little clout on YouTube, even less clout on Instagram. Anyways, fast forward a few weeks, and just recently someone reached out to me again from Xvive, ostensibly, and this message could not have sounded more like a scam. Let me find it. Good day, space, comma, thanks for your reply, space, comma. Do you interest in our T9? Now, I understand that this is probably a Chinese company and there may be sort of a language barrier happening here, so I don't mean to make light of that fact, but just as someone who operates frequently on Craigslist and buys and sells secondhand, this immediately comes across as a huge red flag. Basically, to cut a long story short, we go back and forth, and I'm sort of on the fence on if I want to strike up any sort of relationship there or not. But in the middle of those conversations, my trusty Shure SE215 earphones broke, and I figured, you know what the hell? If they want to send me some free in-ears, then sure, I will take them and see what I think. So that brings me almost to the review here and to the big disclaimer just about this company in general, which is that I don't really know how to feel about them. It seems like the stuff that they make actually works well and is decent, useful stuff, and I don't really have anything nefarious to report from them other than just the way they went about reaching out to me just seemed kind of sketchy on the face of it. It's also strange that like 4 or 5 different accounts on Instagram were all hitting me up about trying these products, and were just so eager to send them to me. So, I mean, if they're sending out this many items for free, then surely there must be a lot of margin on them. But in any case, the big disclaimer is that if you are watching any reviews of any Xvive product, there is a high likelihood that that was sent to the person for free, and that there was perhaps an implication that they would give a good review of that product. That said, if and when I do choose to review something, which only seems fair in this instance, I am committed to only saying how I actually feel about this. So I'm going to try and be as fair as possible, but also tell you exactly how I feel about these earphones. So because I already spent a bunch of your time talking about this company, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of this review before I give you the full review, which is, they're okay. They're fine, I guess. For almost $200, which I think is what they're selling for, I really think that you can probably find better, and I would not buy them for that price. But if you do get offered them for free, or if they're on like super sale at some point, they're okay. So let me explain further. I got these, I opened them up, and I had a few initial impressions about the earphones themselves and just what I was feeling physically before I actually started listening to them. So first of all, these are dual driver IEMs. They have a 2-pin connector that is somewhat universal. The cable that comes with it is kind of a medium length and feels a little bit chintzy to me. It doesn't feel as robust as my Shure SE215s, which are super popular earphones and are going to be kind of my reference point here. I sort of have 2 extremes that I'm going to be referencing here. I have 64 audio 12 driver, very expensive custom molds, and then I also for a long time used in tandem, I had some universals, the SE215s from Shure. So those are kind of my 2 reference points here. And then actually, I do have a third pair of IEMs, which are kind of some cheap, like $30 IEMs that I got on Amazon that someone said sounded better than they should for that price. Also, the housing was the first thing that struck me. So these to me actually felt really similar to my 64 audio in-ears, which I guess is a good thing because they seem really robust and they kind of they feel physically like custom molds, even though obviously there's a universal tip on here. And this is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I guess it's a good thing just in that the impression is sort of that it's high quality and almost feels custom molded. The problem, however, and this is a problem that I had with my 12 driver 64 audio IEMs, is that the housing is really, really large. Like these are really thick and therefore stick out of your ears fairly far. This makes sense when you're shoving 12 drivers into the housing, but for 2 driver IEMs, I really don't know why they would do that. And you can see how much extra space there is in here. So I think that that's totally unnecessary, but it might inspire or instill confidence in people that, I don't know, have bigger ears or just want something that feels more robust. As far as the tips that come with them, you get a whole mess of the kind of foam tips, and then you get a mess of some rubber tips. You don't get anything else. I feel like most other companies give you like some weird cone tips and like a bunch of stuff that I never end up using, but are probably helpful for some people. You don't get a lot of these with Xvive. You get the 2 different types and a bunch of different sizes. Now, most importantly, the sound. How do they sound? They sound okay. My first impression was actually fairly negative. When I first put them in and started listening, I immediately noticed a very artificial sounding bump or presence in kind of the upper mid-range, so somewhere between like 2 and 5K for the nerds. That said, I started listening to them a little bit more and going from song to song, trying a bunch of different styles of music. And I started to like them more and more the more I used them. So recently I've been playing with a bunch of different types of music. I've been playing with all of my microphones here, going through the headphones, and I've been switching back and forth between my 64s, these, and then the cheapos. And what I can say is that these sound better than the cheapos, but not by much. The 64s obviously sound better. They should. I would hope that they would. they sound more balanced and they translate well across a variety of different musical styles. These I actually quite like with very specific tracks, but they're kind of unreliable. I feel like whatever's going on here with the EQ profile is sort of unreliable and was meant to enhance a very specific style of music. Again, the upper mid-range is really what I'm sensitive to when it comes to in-ears and headphones. I feel like it's kind of a glaring giveaway in cheaper IEMs to hear this presence boost in that area, which in a sense makes things feel and sound more detailed, but it's sort of at the expense of overall balance and clarity, if that makes any sense. So in comparison to the Shure, the SE215s that I used for a long time, these actually do sound better in some scenarios and sound more detailed. But I would say that the Shures were overall more balanced. There was never anything with the Shures that I felt like this sounds absolutely exceptional, but they were very consistent. And when I was using them on live gigs, when I was using them to teach, when I was using them in the studio, everything was relatively balanced, yet never exceptional. These are pretty darn good some of the time, and they are somewhat sporadic the rest of the time. So just to conclude here and give you kind of the final recommendation, I would not recommend buying these at the price that they're listed at. Again, if you can get them for free, then great, go for it. Or if you can get them on a super sale, maybe. But I am not a deep member of the IEM community and the sort of sub $500 IEM community, but I've gotten some comments on the other IEM video that I made about my 64s, and there's some people, some really knowledgeable folks in there, and they really helped give me some good recommendations for other sets of IEMs that are a good buy at kind of different price points. These I don't think are probably competing the way that they should at this price point. So if you're looking for some IEMs, I mean, I will list like the Amazon link for these down below. You can use it if you want. Again, I don't really recommend it. But what I'll also do is I'll put a few of the recommendations I got from folks on my other video. I can't attest to them. They're suggestions that I haven't tried out personally, but some suggestions that I got from folks in the comments that I think are probably pretty reasonable. So that's sort of my long-winded way of saying that I got these for free and they sound okay, but I don't necessarily recommend that you buy them. And if you know anything more about this company, I don't want to dog them out unfairly. So if you know something that I don't, feel free to leave it down below in the comments, and I'll pin anything of use just so that we can all have more context about the companies that are creating the things that we are thinking about buying. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.